Hi, welcome to Fit Mama. We're just going to sit here and read a book. No, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about sitting. Last week, when I was in my conference, I did a little 10-minute stretch for between meetings when you're online or when you're spending too much time in the car or when you're doing anything that compresses your vertebrae in your lumbar region and in your back and just gets your body all kind of screwed up. Today, she's going to talk about how we sit and stretches while we're sitting. I remember at one point in my life, I fly a lot, as you guys know. Well, not as much as like business people, but I do fly a lot. And I would look at these instructions when they were on flight magazines. I don't think there are anymore. It's just sad because I love them. I do the cross removal first. And they show you how to stretch. And I'd be like, how am I going to stretch in the seat? Because none of the stretches were very practical for being in the smallness. Remember, an airline seat is approximately 23 inches wide, and most of us are more than 23 inches wide. And then we have the person leaning back. I mean, unless you're all in business class or first class, which I never am. So I am not going to do how we stretch in an airline seat, but I am going to talk about you are stuck in a meeting and you know that your body is getting crumpled or you start to feel it getting crumpled. So a couple of things about, first of all, how to sit and then how we're going to stretch in this limited space. And of course, probably with your camera off, but there are some of these that you'll be able to do with your camera on and not lose, kind of what your face is doing and giving it away. But first of all, as you can see, my feet do not reach the floor when I sit in a chair. So that is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because I am not pushing into my hips. So my hips are kind of free. Now, this does not work with people with longer legs than me, unless they're sitting in a stool. And some people don't like being in bar stools because they feel like the gravity in their hips makes their hips hurt more. So one of the things I do is when I want to engage my hips is I put my toes down. So if you're short like me and you're sitting in a chair, go between keeping your legs parallel and putting your legs down. Now, one of the things I have to admit, and I will admit freely, is that I cross my legs a lot. And crossing your legs is a way of taking your pelvis out of a balance. And I can preach keeping your pelvis in balance all day and all night, but I'm going to stay on and cross my legs. That is a matter of fact. And at one point, back before I was a Pilates instructor and I was going to chiropractic a lot, now I don't need it anymore. My doctor helped me find a lap desk that had little legs that locked my legs into a parallel position because we want to have our pelvis as parallel as possible. I talk about that when we drive. We have one leg forward and the other leg back, and we're constantly out of parallel. And if you're driving an automatic, what you want to do is scoot that other foot up on the carpet or up on the floor beside the leg that's on the accelerator so that you have that parallel pelvis, right? Because a lot of what we're hearing about in terms of people's back, it seems like it's almost a trend because the language and the knowledge has come into the field is pelvic floor problems. And so one of the things we want to do is avoid it. Now, beside the fact that I do cross my legs, I have gotten myself into the habit of having both legs forward, or if I'm in cruise control, both legs off in parallel. So I'm pretty good in the car. So what do I do if I'm sitting in my chair and I want to cross my legs? Because that's what I want to do. And I'm in meetings and I want to be comfortable and I'm stuck there. But you can see as soon as I cross my legs, my whole body goes into another position. My hip is overextended here. I'm overcompressed here. My pelvis is tilted like that. And not only that, my upper body has a little bit of a swing over too. So one of the things I have tried to do is I get a box or a book. Let me grab my box here. And I just put it on my lap. And it's not visible to the camera or, my students. And I'm just pretty much balance it. Remember when you were a kid and you walked around with a book on your head and that's how you learned your posture? I'm just balancing this on my lap and I'm pretty much forcing myself to be parallel. So I'm trying, I know that I'm going to be a person who crosses her legs. And the other problem with me crossing my legs is I tend to cross one over and not the other one. So I rarely cross this way. I'm almost always crossing right over left, and then I don't do the counter exercise. So I am creating the trouble for myself. The other thing that we do, a couple of things that we do, and I'm going to go sideways, is we sit back like this. I would say this, I would call this the student sit, right? You see the problem here, of course. You are totally extending into the back, you're pushing into the here. This is lifted and the pelvis is crooked. And rarely do people sit like this when they lean. It's usually one leg forward or sometimes both. But that's kind of a slippery slope, right? One leg forward. So I talked about this in the online thing. If you have to have that lean, just put a fat pillow behind you and then you can put your leg back and you can see your body is more erect. And if you're going to put that leg out, I get it. That feels comfortable. Try to switch, right, to the other side. Try to force yourself to switch to the other side. This pillow has to be full in the back. It can't be a lower body pillow. When they tell you to do those lumbar pillows, I don't even recommend those. I recommend getting your whole body supported and not having something pushing into the thing. But having said that, as much as you can, sit to the back of the chair. All right. And if any part's going to be leaning away, I would prefer that you lean the top away because that extends up out of the lumbar rather than lean the bottom away like I was just doing. So you want those glutes all the way back, especially in the car. So when you get in the car, and you might have to change your car position, seating, push your glutes up. Get your head up, drop your shoulder blades, look straight ahead, right? Right. So that's where we are, right? So, having said all that, isn't it funny that my feet don't reach the floor? That's kind of recent. I've lost height and osteoporosis. How do we stretch in the seat? How do we stretch in a seat? All right. One of the obvious ways that you could stretch in the seat is using doing neck stretches. So one of the things that I recommend for neck stretches, if it's possible, put your hands underneath the chair. All right. So that drives your shoulder blades down. So you can feel your head lift you to the ceiling. So if you're not on camera. So one of the things people do, sometimes they do neck stretches wrong. They take it and turn right in the position that they're in. Take your head over. Take your head to the side. Don't just twist in the center. If you want to try that, you can see what a big difference that is. So take your ear to your shoulder. That's one of the ways to do it. You're grabbing underneath the chair so you can feel that separation between the scalenes and the shoulder right there, right? And you're getting your head nice and stretched. So you want these to be full movements, not just torques. And then bring it back to center. And then you can also look over to the side. And that does like the oblique stretch. It pulls the cervical curve into the opening, cervical curve, the vertebrae behind your neck, right, into the opening. And I like to drop my chin when I'm in that because I feel like I get whole half of the vertebrae involved there. So when you come out of it, lift first and then come to the center. Same thing with the other side. You want to take the ear over, not just torque the head up. Take the ear over. You're grabbing under the seat. And then bring it back up and then look to the side and then maybe drop it into the armpit, getting the whole other half of see, my feet just went into a turned position and then bring yourself up. So funny, when I wasn't paying attention to how I was in my one foot tucked under. So I'm so glad that I have a secondary camera here. You might not have that, the ability to kind of watch yourself. You might do this in front of the mirror. I know that's goofy, or film yourself doing it just to see what does your body do naturally. I know that I rotate in one leg, I rotate out in the other. So I'm constantly in the correction mode. Okay. What else can we do sitting in the chair that people can't see? Well, people can see that. What they can't see is you pushing your chest out. So what I've done here is I'm sinking my belly button to my spine and I'm pushing out my chest. I can be sitting at a meeting, pushing out my chest and then curling into my back. You know how we pull up through the belly, pull those abs up under the rib cage, and we can pull up. So taking it out and then pulling it up. See if we get a little more from the side. All right, tailbone, taking it out, do that out, and then pulling it. And where you feel that is your contact with the back of the chair. Okay, so that is something that you can do if you can't get out of the chair. If you again, if your camera's off, we also have more options. Another option is reaching down. Now you don't need a lot of space to do this. Reaching down, and if you're not on camera, you can go up and completely come directly. So following the side, bringing it back up, center first, other side. This is a possibility because the airplane too, if you don't mind this. And so my feet can go again and bringing yourself back up. Nice. Put your hands on your shoulders. Your elbows out to the side. Good. And roll. Right. Rotate. And then back to center. Bring those elbows down. Really nice. Of course, shoulder roll, right? We do things that we know, but I'm trying to introduce you to things that aren't completely obvious. Looking at things practical. Now you're probably saying, "Oh, that's all fine and good, but what about my lower body?" What you can do? Bring your hand under your leg, bring your knee up, point your toe, and take the leg out. Once you get it out, flex it. Once you have it flexed, take it out to one side, and then turn it. Bring it back to center, take it to a turn in. You keep it supported with your hands. That also helps give you a nice shoulder stretch. Rotate it out, bring it back to center, point it again, and lift it again to your chest, and then bring it back down. See how different that leg feels from the other one right now? Oh, it's kind of remarkable. Come up to that point, reach out, go to the flex, take it to the turnout, the center, take it to the turn in, back to center, point it, lift it back to your chest, and take it all the way up down. Now, sometimes if you're off camera and you have your headset in, you can move around the room and do whatever you want. But if it's stuck there, you don't have your buds in and you have to be paying attention to everything that's being said, and you can move, this is what we're going to do. So there's also taking the leg out. You want to try to get the other leg flat on the foot, flat on the floor. Take that other leg out and just put it flat on the outside and then walk it out into a full. And that's a great pelvic stretch right there. It's a half straddle, right? Sitting in your chair. Right, keeping that upper body lifted. Bend that knee, bring it back in. All right, take the other leg out. Take it out into the half straddle. Rooster says, I do not know what you're doing. It's unclear to me. Said, Mommy's acting weird, I'm leaving. Good, and then flatten it, and then bring it back in. Another thing you can do, I know this is going to be ridiculous, but again, we might be stuck in these meetings. Scoot forward, lift one leg up, and do your cycle. I know. But, life is like that, and then come back. This is also good stretching for when you can't get down on the floor, right? And then bring it back in. I think this would be, see how I crossed my categorized under senior stretching? Anyway, and of course, the most important thing you want to do, I think most of this is obvious, but I just wanted to give you not only technique or ideas, but also the techniques, right? Back of the hands together, retreat, and then down. Do that like 10 times and relax that down. We're not going to do 10 here, and do 6, but this is a really important one. Good. This is where we go tense. One more. And nice. Okay, let's take it to a breath. We're going to inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. And thank you for coming to Fit Moment today, what we do in chairs.